Hello, everyone, and welcome to our next M2C podcast. Today, we get the pleasure of talking to Joel, the owner of Strawberry Island Fishing Charters out in BC, Canada. And yeah, we get to hear a lot about his story, how he got into that, a lot of his entrepreneur experience leading to that in his lifetime. And I'm sure there's so much more we're going to learn from Joel today. But Joel, if you want to do a little bit of an intro, so nice to see you. Tell us a little bit about your company right now, your Strawberry Fishing Charters, and what that looks like.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. Yeah, this is Joel. Yeah, I'm 40 years old. I live in Lake Country currently in the winter and Tofino in the summer. Running my business here in the winter in Lake Country and hanging out with my kids and family. And in the summer, I run my fishing resort in Tofino and fish every day. Yeah, I'm not sure where I should start. How I got to be there, basically. I grew up back in Quebec until I was 16 years old. That's when I finally decided to make a move west. I didn't know where I was gonna go. I didn't know where I was gonna hand. I didn't speak any English whatsoever. I had no money, and that was the beginning of my journey. So yeah, growing up, basically, I come from a family of one brother, and we live with our mother, basically, and my dad was not really in the picture anymore, and we just yeah, we weren't very rich. We tried to make the best of it, and as soon my brother was able to fly on his own wings, basically, I decided that it was time for me to do the same thing and make a move in my life. I wasn't really somebody that was able to sit at school, and I was not very good at school because I was kind of the clown of the class, and yeah, just I guess OCD and ADHD and like all the D's, and yeah, it was hard for me to focus very long on one thing and listen what people had to tell me and follow. I was not very good at following. Um,
Instructions?
exactly. Yeah. 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 Kind of a challenging kid that had it figured out or was going to figure it out on his own. So yeah. So I've decided when I was 16 years old. That's funny how I decided that I was going to head west. I was actually living like that was my first apartment, and I was living with a roommate. We just signed a lease, girlfriend of mine. And I don't know if I should say that on the podcast, but you can cut it later. That's funny. I was just on a mushroom trip, and one of my friend at that time, one of my best friend, left to go west. He was gonna go pick cherry, and we didn't have cell phone back then, so I didn't really have contact with him. But he left like maybe like 2 weeks before I decided to leave with his car, packed his stuff, and I chickened out, didn't go with him. And then I was in the park and with a bunch of friends. And then I got like a spiritual awakening on mushroom that my friend came down. It was somebody else that came to talk to me and told me to go join him. So the day after, I packed all my stuff and made a sign. Went to see my mom. I believe I had like $100 in my pocket, or maybe a bit less. A loaf of bread and pot of peanut butter. The only like I didn't have anything against the weather. The only thing I had to protect myself was an old tarp that my mom gave me when I left that was covering the wood outside. Like at least take this, right? And then I started my journey and like crossing Canada. It took me like about 10 days. I met some crazy people. I don't know if I was always safe, but my goal was to get to BC, the Okanagan, but I never made it there. I ran out of money when I was in Canmore, Alberta, and that's where I got dropped off. And then I met a bunch of French people at a campground there. I didn't have money to or a tent or anything to get into the campground, but at least I could like get some insight of what was going on and stuff. And then the hard part started. I started being homeless and living in the back of a Tim Horton with no money and eating stale donut for the next 3 months, basically. And then winter was gonna start coming. It was getting colder and colder, and like I was struggling and finding work because like my English wasn't good, and I smelled bad, and my clothes were dirty, and finally after pushing, I kept going to all the hotels and looking. Like my goal was to find a job with a roof over my head. All I wanted was a place to lay my head at night, and I was going to do everything to get it, right? And so I finally, after going like every day for months to all the one hotel, like I showed up and they gave me a chance at doing housekeeping and gave me a place to stay. So that was the biggest gift that I could have got at that time, right? And then from that point on, I decided I'm never gonna end up in the situation where I was for a few months in the street, right? So my whole life, and that's kind of a fear that pushed me doing better and better, and I want more, I want more, I want more, because I've been in that situation. I can't do it. I know I can do it, right? And I don't need much to be happy because I was still happy even though I didn't have a roof, I didn't have enough to eat or whatever. I had my freedom. I was happy about that. But I do not want to go back there. But if I need to go back there in order to get to the next step, I will sacrifice and go back there because I can do it. So that makes me different to a lot of people, I think, just because I don't care, right? I can sacrifice a lot in order to get where I want to get, right? And I think I'm gifted to have that. I'm very lucky that I went through that path in order to realize that I know where I don't want to be, right? So I'm trying hard to stay where I want to be. So yeah, so basically back up to that hotel. So I started working there, and then in 1 year, I've learned my English good enough that they promoted me to a managing position, and it was at the Radisson in Canmore. And then I worked there. I did a great job, met a few people for a couple of years, and finally decided to move on with my life, and finally made it to BC and did my cherry picking that I wanted to do, right? That was still on the like I don't know why, but I wanted to do that. And so I did that and I met so many cool people and it was super interesting. And I did that a couple summer, then I would go back um, to Canmore and work there and then go back in the summer to pick cherry. And then when I was 19 years old, I think it was 2006, I decided that I wanted to stay in Kelowna and try to work construction because I wanted to make more money. I wanted something better for myself, more freedom, build something, learn a new trade. At first, all I wanted to do is learn a trade, right? And like, I think it was interesting. So I went and I started doing drywall with a company called Frenchy Drywall. So that's funny because it was like a bunch of French people all together. We are all like living like sardine in a house, sharing bedrooms and like working 7 days a week. And just learning a trade, right? For I did that for about 2 years, and then that company decided to I actually hated it, but I really liked the paycheck out of it, right? I was That was the most money I've ever made in my life, and it was not very much. It was maybe $1,000 a week, and I worked 7 days a week. So, but for me, it was like I was now doing like I was becoming somebody, right? Like I had a lot of money in my head. It's making $22 an hour. It was crazy. And so yeah, I did that for 2 years, but I hated it because physically doing drywall, it's very taxing on the body, right? And it's like messy and it's early, and then the winter, like it was cold and like your hands are freezing, and it's like it's gross work, right? Like I mean, I don't think like some guys are still doing it today, and it's crazy. Good for them, right? And I don't know if they love it or they can't get out of it. A lot of guys like it's decent money, so they're kind of stuck in that circle that they get stuff they need to pay for and then they can't go just do another job that's 9 to 5 because it's not going to cover their payments now and stuff like that. So I hated it. So what I did, I was lucky because that company that I work for decided to fold, and I basically took over and started like I kind of took over their contract and took over the guys that were there under my wing and just started subbing work to other people, right? And I started with 2 guys, and then I went up to 5 guys. And we're talking that's in 2009 when I started. It was called Deluxe Drywall. That was my first drywall company, and I was not a general contractor. I was just a subcontractor working through general, but like I had like probably 50 guys at some point working for me, and we did like the Kelowna General Hospital. We were there for 3 years providing all the labor, right? All of our guys were French. It's funny, but it's just the way that French people would come in, then they'd call their friend in Quebec, then they'd come, and then like it's just like it's not because we wanted to all be French. It's just the way that it worked out. And then I did that in till I had a partner back then, and then we did that for till 2012. And then in 2012, we decided to split ways, and I decided to instead, like, it was really hard to find good guys at that point, and like I just wanted something better. Like I felt like I've plateaued in that department. I did that for like 4 years, 5 years, and I wanted more. I wanted more. So I decided to start contracting, right? So in order to contract, then you need the credit to buy the material up front and then start pricing jobs, which I had to learn, right? And then yeah, so it took me like, I don't know, the first year is getting a job here and there. I was doing the work myself. I was back on the tools and doing all the job in my business. So let's say I was doing contracting a house. I would sweep. I would do the estimation. I would clean the floors. I would go to the dump and and I would drywall the house myself. Like I mean, I would do the whole thing in the whole company, except I was never a finisher, right? So I would hire a finisher to do the mudding and taping in my jobs, right?
Well, did you need a license to go into that part of the business, or?
No, it's kind of free for all in BC. I know that back east you need to have a license to do that, right? They
Yeah.
have a lot more rules, but here in BC, you knock on the door. So basically, what I would do, I would go on site and find the phone number of the builder or homeowner, give them a call, and then they'd be like, I'm a new drywaller with a super thick French accent. Like, would you like to get a quote? Nobody knows me. Not a lot of people would trust that, right? Because drywall is kind of an important feature in your house, right? You always see it. And so at first it was really hard. Like Kelowna's really clicky, right? So everybody knows everybody. People's been using their trade for a long time. And like I went in with no overhead, and that's how I could win by being very cheap and doing a lot of the work myself, right? And a big thing, like I had a lot of tricks, right? But I used to like go as low as I can, right? So even at first, I was doing job for like cost, right, and just to get in the door and basically working for free. And if people were like, "We don't want a price," I would still price it because they're not on site and give them a stupid low price, so I get their attention and they go back to their guy and they're like, "Hey, I know I've been using you for 10 years, but here's a guy here that's like 10 grand cheaper than you and a $30,000 quote. Do you want to match it?" It pissed off a lot of people, but it put me on the map, right? And then when people would give me the work, I would make sure that I do a better job than anybody else, right? Be on top with my service, be like just like sucking balls, I guess. Sorry, you can put that on the podcast, but like just
It'll probably make it on the podcast.
It's
But,
wow.
okay to say it. It's okay to say
Yeah,
it.
that's it.
That's universal.
well,
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
it's full service.
Yeah. So basically, what I was doing, I was not very good with computers. So all I had for those like after that for like from that time on for the next like 5 years, I had a suitcase with all my stuff in. I didn't have any computer program or anything. I would send all the quotes myself by hand. I would do all the takeoff myself by hand. I would take care of like everything. And at some point, I had like about 50 people that I would take care of everything. And like I kind of burned myself off, but I made a lot of money that way, right? And then I decided. I know it's a big gap, but like I had a lot of jobs, right? Like I was doing probably like I don't know 100 grand worth of work every week, right? At that point, for like a couple years, just dealing everything by myself. And then decided to start trusting people, right? And it worked at first because I was very careful of who I was gonna add to my circle, right? And where was I going with that? And then yeah, so like I kind of like unloaded some of these
Responsibilities.
yeah to some people because like I mean, how long can you go like that, like crazy and like at some point like it's too much, you know what I mean? Like when you're doing too much and putting too much on your own and like I was wearing all the hats, right? And I kind of wear all the hats again still, but like to a certain degrees, like I don't need to do as much as I need to do back in the days to be like in the position that I am today, right? But uh
Can I jump
so
in for a second?
yeah, go ahead.
I think you're describing how you balance personal life and work life. Exactly what you're describing right now.
Yeah, well, balance always been an issue for me. Right now, today, I'm trying to work really hard on having balance in my life, and I'm trying to kind of compensate for the unbalance I had. I'm a workaholic, right? And I'm an addict with anything that I like. I will go I'll like it, whether it's like collecting hockey cards, whether like because I do memorabilia, whether it's fishing, whether like when I was training boxing and Muay Thai, like it was every day for like 6, 7 years, and it's like I get into something, and then like I want to do it, I want to be the best, I want to be the best, and then I'm very competitive and very like once I get onto something and I like something, like I will get like addicted to it. So I've got an addictive personality, obviously. So I'm trying to be careful with that and what I'm doing, right? And exactly balance. So I had no balance in my life. So even though I was making all that money, I don't think that I was really like enjoying any of it, right? Like, and so I kind of have like, I'd say like 3 years ago, kind of a breakdown. I don't want to do drywall anymore, and I don't want to do like construction. Like, I'm just like, I don't want to deal with people. Like, I just like everybody, like, it felt like, and even today, like, we're not heart surgeon, right? And people always have a drywall emergency, right? And it's like, for me, there's no such thing as a drywall emergency, right? Like we're just not.
What's the comparison you find running your sport fishing business compared to like a drywall customer?
Well, drywall customer, over it. Like when I knew I was over it, I was on a service call. I sat about an hour and a half with that with a woman, with a husband and a wife at their kitchen table, and these people were so annoying, man. I kept going back for bullshit at their house, and then I had to sit from like 4:30 to 6 o'clock because at 5:45 or 5:30, she sees a shadow on the ceiling from the drywall, but she didn't see it otherwise. So I'm like, fuck. So I go there and like sit with them for an hour and like blah blah blah, and then just waste my time, and then we see tiny bit of a shadow, but it's not a home warranty issue or whatever. It's just wasting my time and me trying to be nice and going back and just add enough. So I go like put my shoes back on. I'm not gonna do anything about that. Like, the husband's like, my wife is not gonna like let me off that. Like, you got to come fix it. And like I'm like, then I that's when I lost it, and I knew it was done. Drywall for me, really, like for me going to talk to customer, and I'll tell you about it more. I kicked a hole in the wall, and he said, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Well, now your wife can look at that." And then I left, and that was it for that was my that was my last service call, right?
Okay, so I just booked a trip for 4 last night on your boat. You're not going to throw me off or anything, are you?
So I'll tell you a bit of a story about fishing. So fishing, what I like about it is putting smiles on people's face. My best fishing trip of my life, I'll tell you what it is. And it was about 3 years ago. I was guiding a family, and that back then I was still drinking, and like it's now I've been sober for a good amount of time, and just fisherman party after with the customer and stuff. Just happened that there was a crew, like everybody's like coming on vacation, right? And for me, like it's 4 months in a row, I can't like drink with all the clients. Like I need to be like in good shape, tip top shape. So rarely I would drink and be hungover on the boat, but it happened that I did that 3 years ago, and like I woke up, I'm hungover, and like it was another spiritual awakening, and God is like, there you go, bud, you're getting it today. Boom. So I show up to the dock, and then that's a husband and wife and a kid in wheelchair, and I'm like, holy fuck. And so it messed up all my plan. I was like, I can't go in rough water. There's no fish on the inside. And the kid had like muscle atrophy, right? So he couldn't really control his muscle, but his brain was all there, kind of thing, right? As the handicap he's got. I don't remember the name of it. And I was like, that's gonna be the worst day of my life. Like hungover, dealing with like some stuff I can't deal with. So I take that family fishing, change my plan completely to fish on the inside. Like I don't feel good at all. But 5 minutes in, I put my lines in. I hooked onto like, I don't know, my biggest fish of the summer, like 35-pound Chinook. We played that fish for like half hour. And then we put that fish on the boat. The kid that's got handicap is like crying, holding that fish. He held that fish for about an hour. That was his goal. Like it made me cry that day, and like it was the best day of my life. I thought it was going to be the worst day of my life, and God said no. Like it's just I love fishing, man. Like good things happen to me when I fish. Like I love meeting people. It's not like a task for me. It's my passion, right? So people are coming back, right? Like I already have like 100 charter book. Like I'm excited. I work. I hustle. I've like opening more boats. Like
it's just you
upgrading.
on your boat. Is just you.
I've got a deckhand that comes with me. Yeah.
And the story you told, you had the deckhand or you were alone that day?
No, I had a deckhand. I always have a deckhand that's also as this full SVOP and full.
Okay.
Yeah, we're always two of us. My best friend comes with me. We're both captain, right? And yeah, we work together like really well.
That's quite the journey. Thank you for sharing it. I'm gonna. I took some notes. What part of Quebec? Let's start there. What part of Quebec did you grow up in?
I come from Trois-Rivières, so it's in between Montreal and Quebec City.
Quite familiar with it.
Yeah.
Beautiful
So
area.
so
Good snout fishing there. Good snout fishing, white fishing there.
I was like, I started my fishing career very young because, like, I come from a family that's not very rich, but I live very close to the Saint Laurent River, right? So, like, every weekend or evening, me, my brother, my friend would go out and catch some burbot and whatever we could, but mostly burbot, like at like what we could, what we had, right? Hey, Simon, can you shut that dog, please? Crazy, man. Sorry, my dog is like not stopping.
No, it's good. I'm quite familiar with it. I think Glenn was.
Mine is right beside me.
I'm in negotiations of buying a company in Trois-Rivières right now.
Oh, what's the company?
They built trailers.
Okay.
Yep.
What kind of trailer?
Mostly utility and dump trailers.
Okay, perfect. Cool.
Glenn and I are both from Lower North Shore, so it's as far east as you can go on the St. Lawrence River. It's actually on the Gulf of St. Lawrence because you're that far east.
Yeah.
But we grew up in a remote area. There's no roads in or out. Glenn still lives there in the summer. I'll let Glenn speak for himself. I ended up in Alberta in '97, and this fishing you talk about, I thought it was a curse. My dad was a commercial fisherman, and to go fishing was a job. It wasn't fun. Moved away. First, I realized, holy crap, do I miss the ocean? And two, then I got into sport fishing in BC, like yourself. I do it as a hobby. Obviously, you do it as a career because you love the full package, right? And I just needed to get some ocean back in my blood because the fact that I thought I hated it when I was 16 years old.
Yeah, I do it. As a hobby because, but like, I mean, I couldn't fish every day like I'm doing right now, and not work. And like, I mean, I still need some income of some sort, right? So, but I wouldn't say it's a job for me, right? Like, it's not really a career. It is a hobby still, but you can call it a career because I'm a professional now, and or I like to call myself a professional. What I like the most also to be on the ocean is to not have control on my surrounding, right? I don't control the seas. I don't have cell phone reception out there. I can only control what I control, and I'm a control freak, being running business, right? So it kind of frees me from all that control that I need to be in control of everything, right?
Very interesting way to look at it. I never looked at it that way, but it's very, very interesting. And then you bring yourself back to Lake Country every. Are you back? Where are you right now? Are you in Lake Country right now?
Right now, I'm in Lake Country because my construction business is in Lake Country, and my kids are here as well, right? Because I'm divorced. I've got 3 kids: 4 years old, 10 years old, 12 years old. They come visit me in the summer, but in the winter, from October to May, like I try to see them. They're in Kelowna. I try to see them as much as I can. Like I've got them half time, right? So yeah, I can't just.
When you say Lake Country, you mean the right off the highway between Vernon and Kelowna? Is that way?
That's right. Yeah.
Luckily for me, I opened up a company in Kelowna last year.
What's the company?
We're doing the 6-story buildings right beside you. We're doing hardy plank on them right now. You can see them pretty much from the highway.
So we're talking about, what's the name of that company? The project.
The builder Harrington is the project, and Lumen is the name of the job site. Lumen.
Okay. I should probably give you a price for drywall and spray foam and insulation, right?
I can definitely connect you with the right people.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
So it's funny you speak of your journey, and I'm following you. Parts of it is unbelievable. We've never ran into each other. I did book my trip for, I believe, September 6th with you, so I'm very excited. September 6th cannot come quick enough.
No, that's going to be awesome, and it's prime time. Like every year, well, for the last like 6-7 years, before last year, we were doing the Tuna Derby every year. I don't know if you heard about it in Tofino. Willie Mitchell was putting it on, right? My old neighbor, but last year there was no tuna derby, and this year I might revive it eventually. I just need to find some sponsor and people interested in doing it. But every year it was from September 9th, 15, because like that's the best tuna time that they find, right? So you coming just before that like it's the best time, I think.
Perfect. No, I'm open. The weather. You know what? I love the ocean. I don't really care what it is. Obviously, it makes for an easier day if the weather is calm. But that being said, I want to get into some of the meat and potatoes. Like you had a real keynote when you spoke about some components. The big one, obviously, was the best day of your life that you spoke about.
Yeah.
I try to live by a theory now that what other people call bad days is actually what I look for. It's the most time I learn. It's the most time I remember. It's the most time I grow into the person I'm going to become. Because I want to ask you a question to follow up on the best day of your life. What does retirement look like to you, Joel?
It looks like what's happening right now.
My theory is if you like what you do, isn't that retirement?
Exactly. Well, you don't need to retire, right? Because I'm never going to be tired of it. There's and there's tired. People retire because they're tired, right? And then after that, once they retire, they're still tired and they're done, right? So I'm never being retired.
I'm already retired. I love what I do. That's
Yeah, well, you're not really retired because you're not tired.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's one of those interesting components. But no, I take inspiration in your story. It's great. I can share some of mine, but I want to pass it over to Glenn and Corey a little bit to kind of have some interaction. And
yeah, well, anytime. I'm sure we'll share a lot of story on the boat as well, right?
Yep.
We'll have lots of times there. So, and yeah, I'm always around too to cater to everybody, and like we're crabbing off the dock and like making crab right outside on the dock. Like it's pretty amazing and love it.
So I don't, Glenn, Corey, you guys.
Yeah, I got a little bit, but Glenn, do you got anything?
This guy is so much like me. I want us to fire up this conversation right about now.
Yeah, the podcast is Joel because just the first 15, 20 minutes it was a podcast in its own, just his journey, right? And what I wanted to touch on was probably two things. The first thing was the school aspect, where the education system really wasn't for you, from my understanding, and your education seems like it had no role in your success.
The only part that, again, it goes about what I love to do. I used to love playing soccer. I always wanted to play hockey when I was a kid, but my mom was too poor to put us in hockey, and soccer is pretty cheap, right? So we played soccer, and I went to college after high school for one session, right? The only way or reason I went to college is because they had a really good soccer team. And I had at that time a Italian sponsor that paid for my scholarship, and then I made the team, right? So it was called the Diablos, a big team in Quebec, right? It's basically just before you do Montreal Impact and Galaxy or whatever, right? So it's very like good soccer, and like I was really good and getting sponsor and like getting a lot of perks and stuff, and then they cut ties with me after one session because I didn't go to any class. I just party, and I was part of the team. I did pretty good on the team, but I was not somebody that you would want to. I was like, I didn't have my shit together back then, right? And I was not really looking good for them, for their brand. Yeah. I wouldn't have sponsored me, that's for sure.
Yeah, interesting. And then the second part was the hardship that you had to go through in order to get where you are. I'm of the opinion that the children today are very sheltered, and they're not allowed to experience any hardship, any pain at all. They're protected from it.
They're not, and they're like, I mean, it's not like back in the days when we'd come back when the light post outside would turn on, right? Like now our kids are going to school with a cell phone, and they're calling at lunch their parents, and they're calling when they leave for work for after school, and they only 5 minutes away. Like like when we were like 7, 8, 9 years old, we'd walk to school ourselves, and like
Yeah.
and we didn't have all that, right? Like, I mean, I don't know, it's just different, right? Like it's
Well, your case is a little bit extreme, but the point being, children are pretty well coddled today, and that drive, that energy is not necessarily there because things are a little bit too easy, maybe.
Yeah, maybe they are. Maybe being humble and having struggles, I think, is part of the growth, right? And without that, you're not shaping any kind of character, and you just take everything for granted, really.
Yeah. What's the saying? Hard times make strong men, and strong men make weak times, and it's a vicious circle.
Yeah, yeah. Our time is a gift, that's for sure. It can be a gift. You don't see it when you're in it, but once you're out of it, like I mean, like we're always getting out of it, right? It was a tough year for me. I can tell you about this year and the hard time that I've been through. I had really hard financial issues with my business this year. So what happened is that last year when I came back from fishing, I decided that I was folding. I'm not doing construction anymore. And I had people that worked for me. I had a CEO, I had estimator, I had project manager, way too much overhead. So I wanted to like, and I had a lot of money in my float. I was like, it's good time to retire. My shop is like, I've got property, like I've got all my shit is paid for. Like, so they decided they're like, well, we want to keep going. We've been with you for like 8 years. Like, there's a few people anyway that told me, step back, we'll take care of it. So what I've learned in the last year and a half is that when people do not have chip in the pot, doesn't matter if you've been friend with them forever, doesn't matter. They just want a paycheck, right? And so yeah, I really got burned. Like I've got like I'm finishing two big project right now. Like we're finishing them. That's good. Like I mean, it was not easy. It was stressful. I'm caught up on all my debts and everything. Caught up with my supplier. I'm finally gonna get my old back of 10%. It doesn't seem like a lot, but on $6 million job, 10% is a lot, right? When you're waiting on 600 grand and you're finishing the job and you're gonna get it back in 4 months. You know what I mean? Like it can be a long time. So my estimator that he's a fucking idiot. Sorry, but he priced the job that should have been about 2 million that he priced for 1.2 million. So that was the beginning of and then of course we got the job, right?
Yeah.
And so that created a big hole. And we're almost done that job. We survived. I had to make a lot of sacrifice, wrap up, like I said, like wrap up my RSPs, my TFSA. I sold all my sold all my crypto too early, but whatever. It is what it is. And and it was a stressful year and a half. That's exactly why I wanted to fold at that time because I didn't want shit like this to happen. And it was like the market was so unsure like a year and a half ago, right? Like another thing that really screwed me is that when I've priced the job, I signed a contract, and then with all the COVID bullshit and everything after that, all the material went up so quickly, and I couldn't renegotiate those contracts. So now I was stuck taking a big hit on material of 10, 15, 20%. So like basically the year and a half, 2 years is working for free, you know what I mean? Like or losing money to work. Anyway, so basically I was able to like do damage control. I think I saved everything. I've laid off everybody. I've got only one person left on my team. That's a guy that's been with me since I was 16 years old. He's actually French, and he came and met me in BC when we were younger, right? Like once I found the job after living homeless and stuff. He came from Quebec and we worked together as well for a while, and we always kind of stayed together. But so yeah, we kind of restarted it. Now we're pricing jobs again because I made him a 50-50 partner this year, and restarting from scratch because now he's got chip in the pot. So I know it's his money as well, right? And without that, I would not want to do it again. I would just run the fishing. And it's another subject, but I've got a funeral home as well in Pentington, right? So I've got a few different strain of income, and I'm kind of excited now to restart the drywall company and construction company, and I'm gonna start it exactly the way that I started it when I started it. Slowly, I'm not going to overextend myself. I will not go into big commercial job like school and hospital, and like I'm just going to keep it to like townhouse and like houses. That's what I'm good at, right? And that's what I know how to do. Like the only reason why I went into schooling and commercial and still stud and all that stuff is because that idiot told me that he knows what he's doing, and it cost me like over 1 million. You know what I mean? Like so. I'm just gonna stick with what I know and be happy with that. Like, I mean, I don't want to grow more. I just want to be
What's
steady.
What's the term you're using? Chip in the pot?
The chip in the pot, that means
Skin in the game.
exactly.
Skin in the game. And Kirby, Corey, like the two people I met so far from BC are French. Patrice, when we went out to BC, and Joel. So I'm wondering, like, was there a time when like everybody left Quebec and went out to BC to find their fame and fortune, or?
I think like back in the days when I was like 16 years old when I left, I think a lot of people would do that and go like, yeah, it was always like student would go in the summer because they could make a bit of money. Like, I mean, there was not a lot of work back home in Quebec, and like you want to see something different too, right? Like, I mean, you want to learn a new language. Like, I feel like Quebec is like very, very hidden from the rest of Canada, right? Like, I'm looking at my mom and my family and friend, like some of them never been out of the province, like ever.
Ever.
Like, I mean, like it's just like you're gonna die and you stayed in your hometown your whole life. Like it's crazy to me. Like, and you haven't seen anything. But you know what? Some people are happy like that, and it's
Yeah.
okay. And I don't judge. It's just for me, it wasn't like that, right?
Mhm.
But I can't like I wouldn't
It's
be able to think of like probably the ADHD. Like I need to move. Like I need to. Every
what
time
it-
I make a move in my life, it's for the best. Even if I make a mistake, I learn from it. It's for I just got to keep on the move at all time, right? Catch me
because
if you can.
yeah, well, I'm still in Quebec, and it's what I realized it's hard to develop through isolation, right? And until we get out of our own way, well, we're going to have that issue, right?
I think that people in Quebec, it's not their fault, but they're really close-minded and like with the news, let's say like the news, the translation from English to French in the news is fucked up. And they change the whole narrative the way that they want to. Just look at COVID, how they had the curfew at 10 o'clock. People went nuts. My mom took me off the wheel back then, right? Because I wouldn't vaccinate my kids that were like 6 and 8 years old and 2 years old. Like we haven't talked for 2 years.
Trust, yeah, they put all their trust in the government, and it's I don't think the government is there to protect me, and they give them their blind and 100% trust. So it's
Yeah.
yeah, it's
So
like you said, it's a mentality, but with time we can change that.
well, yeah, it's not my job. I'm not God. I just want to change my action and then lead by example.
Nice.
So
That's amazing, Joel. What a story, man. That's from 16 to end up in Canmore of all places. That's a beautiful place to stop. But I think you went through kind of, I don't want to say the ugly parts of it, but you know those 3 months of eating stale donuts and then working
yeah,
your way up to being a manager at the Radisson, and you know, and that just goes to show so much about your character. And I know anybody watching this podcast is going to see the character
but
that you have and that you built.
it wasn't. I loved it being there. I loved like Canmore. I was in awe with like all the like I never seen like the Rockies and like it was so beautiful. So I was not even thinking about like being homeless and stuff. I was still having a good time at that time, and I was sometime like I mean in the last year I was a lot less happy than when I was homeless in the back of a Tim Horton. You know what I mean? Because I didn't have that freedom. I felt like in the last year and a half, like right now I can breathe again because I'm like back on top of things. But when I couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel with all that what was unfolding in front of me, I was unhappy, right? So yeah, so like I'm not seeing it like no, I don't want to be homeless, like and like I'm thankful that it was in winter at that time, right? It was getting closer and getting colder, but like I mean, yeah, I'm blessed, man. I'm so lucky, and there was like all these steps needed to happen, and like I just saw it. I'm seeing it like very positively, right? It was like it's not something that I like remember. I'm like, oh, I remember that time. Like it was so hard in my life. Like I mean, it was actually I knew something good was coming, right, for me. So I was just waiting and like doing the next right thing that I could have done and trying to control what I could control at that point, and good thing happened, and then it just like took off. And
You know, a mindset that, you know, I don't know if you're ever driving with, I've had this experience where I've been driving with someone and they maybe see someone that's homeless or pushing a shopping cart or doing something, and oh, I wonder what happened in their life, or I wonder all these things. And I always sit there and I'm like, man, that person could have way less stress, could have everything in the world and be the happiest person pushing that shopping cart right now.
yeah,
And that's exactly what you kind of just said. You like you were just happy to see the Rockies. You were just happy to be along your journey, and it just took you to these massive wins, and you just kept going.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
that's so cool to hear that, and all that. What does so you're a father of three wonderful kids. What's your journey? How has that strengthened you in being a father?
I've got I was married for close to 10 years, then I had two kids. That's kind of my journey. And then I divorced. Then I met another woman and I was married for 5 years and then I had a kid with her. Then I divorced. And now I'm by myself and yeah, it was my plan wasn't to have like two ex-baby mamas and like and picking up all my kids from different places every week. But it's just the way that it happened. I guess I don't know if I'm built for long-term relationship or whatever. Like, but I'm always there for my kids, and they're my priorities. That's for sure. And yeah, I'm just once they're a bit older, like I'm gonna teach them how to fish. I'll like hopefully I'll take them all as much as I can, like at the resort and like yeah, but I'm not gonna be giving them. I'll make them work for things. Like my kids are not gonna be spoiled brat. That's for sure. I want them to value hard work, value money. Like I see a lot of kids that they got ended everything right, and now they don't see. They don't have any work ethic. They don't see any value in anything. And then I think what it creates is create depressed people, right? Because they're not able to appreciate anything.
Interesting.
I
Yeah.
think I don't want to say I think I know what's going through Kirby's mind, but I know you just hit two major things about, maybe spoiled, and then I think you nailed it with appreciation, right? You really rounded that out because, if people are appreciative, and you know what, I'll let Kirby kind of maybe chime into that. I know that's a hot topic for him right now, one that he loves.
Yeah, I've been very vocal, Joel, lately about how does a parent set out to spoil their kids, right? Like nobody wants to spoil their kids. So what I had an epiphany here a few months back is you can tell when your kids are spoiled is when they're not humble and grateful.
That's a good point.
So if you give your kid $1, are you spoiling them? Or if you give your kid $1 million, are you spoiling them? We use monetary value to associate so many negative things. But really, our experiences in life, the older I got in some of these journeys that you described, you used that word about 10 minutes ago, humbling. You described the situation and you said it was humbling. For myself, I've had similar journey. Every time I get humble, I start realizing this is part of my job as a father. My job is to help coach my bloodline to be humble and grateful. Abundance. What about abundance in our lives? Isn't abundance all around us? Can it not be abundant of every day? Abundance around us, but it's all how we look at it: energy and vibration, manifestation.
It's solid mindset. That's right.
And I won't get into details about my experience the last two months. I literally just went today and picked up the keys for my oldest daughter's first house. I helped her purchase. We got the keys this morning.
Yeah.
2 months ago, I was going to kick her out of my house. Right. So with some self coaching, some good mentorship that's in my life, I would like for you to be a mentor to me, Joel. Is that okay by you?
That's totally fine. I want everybody should be mentor to everybody, right? So
I think I can learn something from a guy with wisdom like you got. I grew up in Quebec like you. I had to leave when I was 13 years old, Joel. We only had grade 7 in my community.
wow.
I was in Quebec City and Cégep St. Lawrence at 16 years old with my own apartment.
Yeah.
I know all about partying away the first year of college. I got out of it and I went to auto mechanics in Chateauguay, South Shore of Montreal, the year after. But all of these experiences become very humbling.
They are, and that shapes who you are as well. Who you become.
If we, and I know it in you, I don't even need you to say it, but I know when I say this word, excuses, you basically said you're sober for quite some time now. I'm also an addict of multiple different things. And while you're confused and wrapped up in addiction, we use excuses all the time. But when you become humble and grateful, we stop using excuses and we start realizing that, is this a path I want to take, or do I want to change my path tomorrow morning? Maybe next hour. That's how it is with ADHD and OCD and addictions. Is hour by hour some days, right? But the older we get, the more of this journey we take. Being humble and grateful. Teaching, the way you describe it is the way I've taught it all my life. The way my parents taught it to me is nothing is for free. You need to work for what you get in life. And I think with today's digital platform, the communication, like we talked earlier about our kids, like there is certain things being stripped away from our new generations. It's not a bad thing. It's just we need to adapt on learning how to teach and educate on being humble and grateful. That's my belief right now.
For sure.
Awesome.
I just got one last point. If Kirby, fiat is free. Joel, now Kirby, do with that what you will. Joel, you mentioned that you sold out.
Wait. No. Joel, sorry to cut it off, but this is what the experience was going to be about. What is your problem with fiat currency, Glenn?
Because you can print it out of thin air.
It's just a tool.
You don't
like
learn
a
it.
hat on my head, like the pin in my finger.
There's no energy required to do it.
It's just a tool.
Press the button, and $1 trillion appears.
If you want to bow down and pray to fiat currency, go right ahead. Go right ahead. I choose not to. It's just a tool in my life.
It's a tool. Okay. Yes. Okay. It's a tool, but nothing is free. Printing of money is free. It requires zero energy to print money today.
What's going to save us? What's going to save us?
Bitcoin is going to save us, but that's why I wanted to ask Joel when he was in the crypto and he sold out to save his company. What were you into, if you don't mind, Joel? Meme coins, or were you into altcoins? Were you into?
I was only in Ethereum, and I was in Ethereum for quite some time, so I did really good.
Yeah. I'm still into Ethereum, but I'm putting everything into Bitcoin in the new year.
Yeah, you're moving everything, eh?
Yes. Well, everything what was there, let's say, but
yeah,
it's all going to the. It's all going to the. What do they call that? The head horse.
Yeah, the main horse.
The main horse.
Joel, what is wrong with Bitcoin? What is really wrong with Bitcoin, Joel? Just off the top, right, like from your gut, what is wrong with Bitcoin? We know what's good with it, but what's wrong with it?
What's wrong with it right now is that I don't currently have any.
Perfect answer. That's how we'll talk to Connor, and that's how we start the podcast with that quote right there.
Perfect. I love it.
Kirby, I'm calling Dean right now.
I believe Bitcoin, along with a lot of other digital tokens, are flawed. They have no utility value.
If gold has utility value and Bitcoin is a superior monetary system compared to gold, it has utility. And the person that wants to use it decides if it has utility or not, whether it be the individual or the investor.
Yes, the utility value is gambling. It is for addicts. It's for addicts.
I'm an addict. You're an addict. Joel is an addict, and Corey's an addict. We're all addicts.
That's true. Huh? We all have that in common. I know. We all have that in common.
And Bitcoiners got it too, because it's just gambling. There is no utility value in Bitcoin. They're calling it a great store of value. Of what? Funny money. I call it funny money.
It's a store. It's a store of value of your time and energy. So I think there's a quote from I think it's Michael Saylor. Only invest into Bitcoin the money you can't afford to lose. The rest is gambling. Good.
It can be good. Like who knows what the future is going to bring, right?
Well, some of us has got a little glimpse. We got our own Galileo had a telescope, and he saw it before the church. So Bitcoin is another telescope into the future.
Joel,
perfect.
I haven't said this about what was the one you had? XRP or Ethereum?
Ethereum.
Yeah.
I got a nickname for Bitcoin. It's called Hero to Zero.
Yeah.
You got out great. I'm sure you liquidating your currency helped you out. It looks like it helped you out. You look pretty positive. The negative is you wish you didn't have to sell it because you're hoping it would still gain value, but it looks like it helped you by selling it, right? So that means you got out early. You did good gains.
He didn't escape. He got out early. It wasn't an escape. He wishes that he was still in the game, right, Joel?
Well, I wish that I still had that money as a safety net. I call all my investment. I call them safety nets, right? And I've got multiple layers of them, right? And once I take one out, like there's less and less, right? And it doesn't make me feel very comfortable when all these nets are going away. So now I got to rebuild all these nets one by one, right?
And I look at Bitcoin as being an insurance in a messed up world. It's insurance.
And I'm like, I don't have everything in Bitcoin, right? I've got like memorabilia, I've got gold, I've got silver, I've got like, I just have all these layers. And like, I mean, when I have to bail myself out, I take a layer out. I got to rebuild that, right? But
utility value, Joel. I appreciate what you got. I've got similar portfolio. When you can put utility value to an asset, it is a solid asset.
Yeah.
Okay, but what if society decides that the memorabilia, the Picassos, doesn't have any value? Then it doesn't have any value, does it?
You get out early. Then you get out early. That's the whole point of it.
That's the gamble.
Change.
That's the gamble, right? That's the gamble.
Well, that's why you don't put all your eggs in the same basket, and you have multiple baskets, and some of it will retain, and it's like being diversified.
Diversification can be worsification. If the best horse in the race is Bitcoin, the majority should be in Bitcoin.
I'm just going to share a little secret. It shouldn't be public knowledge yet, but Glenn knows that I love real estate, land, a building, whether it's a shop, whether it's a house, whether it's a storage unit. Like I love real estate. I think it's a pretty good investment. It's been fairly proven. I believe it's a utility because we need places to live. We need places to put our feet on the ground. They're not making any more land until Elon Musk can get us up to Mars or the moon. Like we can't get any more land. Glenn, on the other hand, he's getting rid of all of his real estate portfolio. He thinks it's a dying necessity. Therefore, I'm up for a great purchase pretty soon.
Okay, but my theory on that is you are completely right. It's still a necessity utility. People obviously need places to live, but I'm just betting on the best horse in the race. And I would put real estate above gold. But in my hierarchy of investments, Bitcoin is the top of the pyramid. I knew this conversation was going to come sometime.
I'm waiting for Joel. Joel, can you do you think the same, Joel?
I'm like, I love owning like real estate. Like I'm sorry, I like having the actual property, like houses. Like I like to be able to, like I just need to see it. For me, having Bitcoin when I can, like I feel like I don't have full control. It can disappear at any time. My house is there, my island is there, my shop is there. You know what I mean? Fair enough. I sleep better at night when I sleep in my investment.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
My only issue with real estate is that the taxes, the insurance, the maintenance, there is extra cost. Maybe if the government get their act together and wouldn't tax you to death on something that you already paid for, maybe real estate can make a bit of a comeback.
That's true. But I just I don't know, man.
Bitcoin, there's no additional expense except holding on and watch the number go up and freedom rise.
Yeah.
Okay, I got to switch the subject now, only because Glenn right now is in the heart of everything. The leader of our country resigned yesterday. Glenn lives about 5 minutes from the man's cottage. Probably has tea with him every other day.
Oh. Yeah.
How is things in Ottawa right now, Glenn? Is this
getting better?
Is this good for real estate?
Getting better.
Yeah.
Have you
Wow,
seen
we're-
any parades? Is there any parades happening? Any water juice boxes going on?
Yeah, but it's pretty subdued. But I think well, anyway, there was a time for a change, but we put a lot of stuff onto individual people, and we blame individuals for a system failure. Because the more I'm getting to learn about prime ministers, presidents, or whatever, they are really not driving the boat or flying the airplane. When they're out there campaigning, they're going to do this. They've got all the levers of control, and they get promised to be into the cockpit or the wheelhouse of the boat. But when they get into the system, they're only a deckhand at best.
Okay, so from your theory, then what? We don't need another prime minister of Canada. Then obviously,
No, I'm not saying
right?
that. I'm not saying that's the case, but I'm saying that the levers of power are. I'm saying that the presidents, prime ministers, and are plants. They're actors.
Okay, period. Full stop.
Full
How
stop.
do you fix it? How do you fix it?
Well, that is the $1 million question, or the 10 million. Well, part of it is Bitcoin, because with Bitcoin, part of it is Bitcoin because with Bitcoin we need less government. We're run by rules and not by rulers. Boom. Your screen is I don't know the sound. Everything is cut out. Did our computers crash?
Wait. Let's listen to the end drop.
Terry,
Come on.
Terry
Give
just
us
called
something. Give
Bitcoin.
us something there. Like you're living right by the man. He stepped down. We know there's going to be some things that us Canadians are going to have an opinion on. We can choose not to have an opinion.
Yes.
We get to go to voting polls. We can argue with how a system all works. But again, Glenn, like you're saying as a system, not a person. What
Yes.
system, in your opinion, Bitcoin system is going to solve everybody's problems?
It's a big part of it in my utopian Bitcoin view. Yes, like I said, we want to be run by rules and not by rulers, and all of this globalization. I question who's really pulling the levers of control. Is it the World Economic Forum? Is it the International Monetary Fund? Is the World Health Organization? Who's dictating the policies?
How does Bitcoin save climate change?
Because Bitcoin is deflationary, and inflation creates climate change.
Like I told you, my theory is we know the printer's been on. The printer's been on for a long time, which created inflation.
Yes.
They've got how many billion and trillion already in Bitcoin right now? A lot.
Yeah, a lot.
When it goes from hero to zero,
Mm-hmm.
guess what's going to happen to that inflation? It's going to be deflation, because
Yes.
they're going to strip those many $1 trillion right out of the system.
Yeah, but the system will crash.
There's lucky
regardless.
people. There's lucky people like Joel that cashed in early, did good with it, did good with what he cashed in, because that's one of the lucky ones.
I mean, he cashed into fiat. Fiat is no.
But he went and took care- he went and took-
Fiat is in captain's terms. Fiat is a sinking ship. It's
Power
the
alone.
Titanic.
The
It's
power
the
consumption
Titanic.
in which the power consumption, we could have another 1,000 electric vehicles on the road if we didn't have the mind for Bitcoin.
No. Bitcoin versus the airline industry, the trucking industry, the amount of energy that it's being used is minimal. No, that's not even an argument anymore. That argument is put to bed.
Joel, you know what Joel asked me in a text last night?
What's that?
Did I throw back my 41.8 pound Chinook salmon? He wanted to know if I threw it back.
So, the one that was on your picture with your son there?
My largest fish I caught yet in the Pacific Ocean was
Yes.
my largest salmon, not
Right.
large halibut. Largest salmon was 41.8 pound salmon up at Haida. And Joel asked me if I threw it back.
Never.
I refused to answer it. I deflected it. And beautifully was, he didn't come back and ask me. But then he threw in another comment later about some lingcod, which you call, what was it you called them?
Buckethead.
Bucketheads. Yes, bucketheads. I'm going to steal that saying.
Yeah.
He throws back some. I have two, but I did not throw back that Chinook salmon.
That wasn't even a question. If he'd asked me, I'd have given the answer.
Yes, but it was valid. So Joel, you need to know, because you're a sportsman. You encourage to try to preserve a species, right?
The big fish, yeah, the big genetic, the big genes, right?
Like halibut. Why do we don't want to keep the big ones? One, they don't taste so good, and two, they're the breeders.
Yeah, well, that's just a stronger genetic. The reason why we don't have these big fish anymore is the main reason is because they use, like, when they do the hatchery stuff, right? They used to use only women to go get the salmon to retrieve the egg, right? To do the hatchery, but only women would do that, so they wouldn't go after a huge fish. They use small fish because it's easier and lighter. So, like, yeah, it killed the gene, right?
Okay, interesting.
Well, what about sea lions? Why can't I come out with my fully automatic rifle, which is illegal in Canada, and shoot a few of these stupid sea lions that keep stealing my damn fish?
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, man. It's so much like, it's crazy. I'm trying to stay out of it and just fish and, like, hope that they're not gonna close me up next year or
Yeah,
whatever.
the government is going to stay out of your business.
What about the orcas? Oh my goodness, you got what, 3 boats on the ocean at least?
Yeah.
Maybe 4 this year.
Yeah.
What about the poor orcas? What about the poor orcas, Joel? You're disturbing the poor orcas.
I know we are.
Like, come on, like the system. You're saying the system is broken?
Well, the bigger picture is Bitcoin is going to help to save humanity, and then we can work on the orcas and the sea lions that after, right?
Yeah, yeah. Bitcoin, then orcas.
We got to save humanity first,
Corey,
and then
save me, Corey. Please save me.
I don't know. I think I was waiting for this conversation.
Joel, come on. You got to have an opinion, man. Your group of people. I know there's a group of you guys. Maybe you're not a part of it, but there is a group that's trying to lobby some of these stupid rules that are affecting your day-to-day business.
They are, like, I haven't been affected too much in my area, but a lot of the Vancouver Island is affected. It affected a lot of business, a lot of families and stuff that are depending on that and that fishery. Thankfully, it's not my like I said, the fishing for me. I don't want to control everything, right? So I try to stay out of the politic. Like, there's other people lobbying for that and doing all that stuff. I can't stress myself. It's gonna become a job. I'm not gonna like it, right? So
you're going to get addicted to it, and then
yeah. So I just I am involved. I'm listening. I don't want to be the one with the axe in front fighting everything, right? Like, I just can't. I've got too many other fights. The fishing is fun. It's not a fight for me, right? So,
are you planning on writing a book, Joel?
I don't know if I'll write a book. I don't know. Maybe one day.
You don't think your story is worth listening to?
Oh, 100%.
I think everybody's story is worth listening to, right? So, I mean, I've get something out of everybody's story. Write a book. It's not in my near future plan. Maybe one day. But yeah, right now I like to stay on the down low and just do my own thing. And yeah,
the story is still being written.
Exactly. It's so not done, right? So, I mean, I'm not even halfway there yet.
Very valid. Very valid. No, I think it's my way of complimenting you on your story, right? Like,
I appreciate that. And I can't wait to hear your story. I'm sure that we'll have lots of time. And yeah, I'll be happy to listen to you.
If Glenn hasn't put me in the crazy house, I will share some of my story with you on your boat. If I'm lucky enough to go with you, maybe I'll be with one of your captains. I don't know.
Oh, no, you'll be with me for sure.
I'm hoping Glenn can come. Glenn is scared of the ocean, right? He works it summer long, and he gets scared.
Well, I've got a good life raft on the boat.
There you go.
Yeah.
Another, just put a B on it for Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Life raft.
Oh, that's funny.
That's awesome.
Corey, I don't know where we're going with it, but we've went past our
what I was about to say,
normal time, but obviously we're gonna wrap it up here pretty soon. And
yeah, let's do that. I've got some other stuff to do, but like I'm so grateful that you guys had me on and get to meet you guys, and yeah, it was great.
No, awesome. Thank you so much, Joel, and looking forward to a future conversation and getting on the boat with you on the ocean.
Sounds good, boys. Okay, well, have a great day, and yeah, keep in touch.
We'll be in chat. Have a great week, everybody.